Holistic connection. Let's heal. Holistic connection. Let's learn. Holistic connection. Let's grow. Holistic connection. Let's be real.
Hello, everyone. This is Pamela Topjian, your host for Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And the holistic connection that we're making today is with Willijah. And I would like to welcome you, Willijah, and ask you to introduce yourself and share what you do in the holistic healing space, please.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
So my name, yes, Willijah Dawson. And I actually like to think of myself as someone who blends two worlds, blending the
Mm,
professional and the wellness spiritual and being that bridge between the two. So what I do by day, I am a business professional.
uh-huh.
So I do work for a Fortune 100 company. I work as a product owner in the product management space. And then on the side here, and the work that I'm so passionate about and feel is my life's work, is just working with women, doing blending integrative health leadership. And I like to use like ancient wisdom and human design
Mm-hmm.
principles to really help with bringing wholeness to women. So that,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, is what I do.
Wonderful. And boy, talk about blending two worlds. For sure. For sure.
Yes.
But much needed, I think. There shouldn't be
Yes.
so much separation. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're getting a little treat. There's a tiny little kitty
Cat,
on her lap.
he
Maybe
just
not
won't
so
go away.
tiny. I don't know. We can kind of see an ear. But
He's
yeah,
having fun here.
come over to YouTube if you're an animal lover. Um, so, okay. So how did you first get started and interested in blending these two worlds? And did you start out in more of the business world and move to this more holistic world? Which came first, and how did you become interested in doing this?
Oh, okay. This is a long story, so
Okay.
I'm going to summarize it best I can. So, interestingly enough, in my early life, I actually did want to go into the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
So, my goal when I was like 18, 19 years old, I became a certified nurse's assistant, and my plan was to work in the medical field. I've always been drawn to the wellness field and healing, and
Yeah.
you know, um, we all have that thing that we're naturally good at, and for me, it's always been, being warm, and I'm like, you'd be a great nurse, and I just love the wellness world. Um, Unfortunately, when I was about 21, I did get let go from a job in the medical field for a very silly reason. And I was like, I don't know if I want to work in this medical field. And I ended up getting a job where I still work today, the Fortune 100 company that I mentioned. I had actually started in call center and worked my way up into the position that I'm in
Nice.
today. Yeah, so it was a long journey. So throughout all of my 20s, I worked this job, I took care of my grandparents, and when they passed away, I took care of three of my grandparents. I was their primary caretakers. And when two of them had passed away, I was 30. And I was like, I gotta do something now. I've got to go back to school since I didn't end up going for nursing school. I've got to
Yeah.
figure out what's next in my life. And so at that point, I was like, do I become a personal trainer? Do I just get a business degree and do what I'm doing today since I've now been in this company now for 9, 10 years at that point? And so I decided, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do what's practical. I'll get my business degree. So I have my master's now in business administration, which I just recently finished within the year. And so
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I climbed the corporate ladder there. I went from call center to claims to doing all kinds of things before now I'm in like the product owner, product management space. So, but on the background, there was always this desire to still do work in wellness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't want to let go of that dream. And I was like, I think I want to be a personal trainer on the side and do something like that. But then things happened with the family. I helped my brother start his business. He's
Mm-hmm.
still doing running that today. I had lost a niece to suicide in 2017, helped my
So
sister start
sorry.
a nonprofit. Thank you. And so all along, there was this desire to still want to do something in wellness.
Yeah.
And so I throughout the process, I got different certifications, worked with various individuals, and just kept holding on to it, never fully going 100% with it, but I just kept holding on to this desire.
Yeah.
And after the pandemic in 2020 and the world shuts down for all of us, I was like, I'm going to push this forward. I'm going to push, I had to go through it first. I'd say I went through like this introspective period. I had to like do a lot of healing and growth
Yeah.
and figuring things out. And then finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm pushing this forward. This is the work I'm called to do. I remember a dream I had when I was a kid, and I was like, this is it. This is the time. All these life experiences was really just preparing me for this most recent calling and doing the work that I do now with women
Yeah.
and helping them heal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so interesting. I find it really interesting how sometimes we have like a little itch in the back of our mind,
Hmm.
or really it's deep in our soul, right? And it just
Hmm.
won't leave us. And we, even
Exactly.
though we may love what we're doing, but it's not scratching that itch. And
Hmm.
yeah. And then,
So
like you said,
true.
through life experiences, it's like a voice, right, in your head, and it gets stronger and louder and louder. And you're like, okay, we got to do this. I love
It
that.
does.
Yeah.
And it really, I feel, I was actually talking with my mother about this recently, but it really does feel like a lot of the things that's happened was really just preparation to really
Yeah.
go through all these different experiences to have that full spectrum picture understanding of what women go through, in
Yeah.
careers and grief and
Mm.
building things that we're passionate about and climbing the corporate ladder and
Yeah.
doing all the things.
Yeah, I love that. So needed. So thank you for bringing that to the world and to
Hmm.
women. So let's talk more about some of the offerings and the services. And what do you think of all the things that you do and all the offerings that you have? What is the most misunderstood, or what has the most misconceptions around it?
That's a good question. So in 2021, I stumbled into human design.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going through like a whole certification process to better understand it. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions around human design.
Yeah.
Especially, I will say I did come from a Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
My upbringing, I was raised Christian. I am open now, but um, a lot of folks are like, "Oh, that's too woo-woo."
Yeah.
And what am I going to glean out of this? And I know I do have a lot of family members who are Bible thumpers and Christians, and there's a lot of misconceptions like, "Oh, I can't get into that because that's just so." Esoteric and new
Right.
age and all of that. So I know there's a lot of misconceptions around human design. It's just a woo-woo thing, a woo-woo modality.
Yeah.
And so what I think about human design, I think of it just like any other personality framework you do,
Yeah.
Myers-Briggs, Enneagrams. And I
Absolutely.
just think it's a great way to understand how we're designed, how our energy works in the world. And just, of course, self-awareness is the number one key to leadership.
Yeah.
You really do have to fully
Absolutely.
understand yourself. So
We talked
I
a
would
little
say
bit
there's,
about that before we started
yes,
recording.
yes.
Self-awareness is so important. Yeah.
It is. It's honestly, I don't know how, sadly, we look at our political environment. I think that you can see when, one is not self-aware and when they're making
Right.
decisions from not a good
Somewhere
place.
else. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, I think of all the work I do, that's one that I think a lot of people might be
Mm-hmm.
hesitant around, like, oh, what is human design? Do I really want to get into that? But I think it's such a
Yeah.
great tool and modality, and we just think of it as a way to understand our energy and have a
Yeah.
better understanding of self and how we're meant to move and operate in the world.
Yeah. And I think too, with human design, it's the kind of thing that will help you as a practitioner to better understand your client and what their needs
Hmm.
are.
Oh, yes,
Not only self-awareness, but awareness for the practitioner with their client.
that
Um,
is right.
so if you could explain a little bit for somebody who's never heard of it, what exactly is human design, and what can the client expect if they come to you for human design?
Hmm. So the simplest way to put it, because there's a lot to it. So the
Sure.
simplest way to put it, I think I look at it as like an operating manual of how we're meant to move and operate in our life. It's the way whenever you buy a new digital device, it comes with operating manuals. So I
Yeah.
think of design as a manual for yourself and the manual for your life and really just truly understanding who you are and how you work in the world. But at the highest level, it does the origins of human design does blend astrology and I Ching and some of the ancient wisdom and practices along with modern sciences. But in the
Yeah.
simplest forms, for someone who's never heard of it, I just like to think of it as your operating manual,
Yeah.
a tool that supports you and helps you, like you said, help you guide others, and even in family. Like I think it's important to
Sure.
understand, like I was looking at my chart from one of my nieces and just like how does dad work with his daughter, to better understand the design of his child. And it
Yeah.
really it supports that relationship.
Yeah, so you said looking at their chart, so it's very similar to like an astrology chart, is that correct? Where you
That's
you get
right.
information about the person who you're doing the chart for, and then a lot goes into that, and to come up with their own chart of human design.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
It does require you one, like for me, for example, if I were to do
Mm-hmm.
your chart, I would need your location and time of birth, date of birth. And basically, and I found this fascinating when I first got into human design, but at the time that we're born, at the very time you're imprinted with what was happening in the solar system at that
Yeah.
time, and all of that is used to create your design.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that it relates to what most people would think of when they think of astrology, not just your sign and what that means, but like the whole chart. Yeah, based on your time and location of birth and when you were brought into this world, how it relates to what was going on in the universe. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Go to her website and it's just your name, so willijahDawson.com, and
That's
that's
right.
WILLIJAHDAWSON.com, correct? For
That's
those
right.
listening. But it will be listed below as well.
So I did become an integrative health coach through
Hmm.
Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So I do hold integrative the certification through their school. So a lot of what I do is centered around integrative health. So
Hmm.
bringing the mind, body, soul connection.
Hmm.
And I use the modalities in human design and also ancestral healing as well. That's another
Hmm.
big part of my work as well. I did some trauma-informed coaching with Mark Bolan, the author of It Doesn't Start With You. And a
Yeah.
lot of that work was birthed, or why I went down that path was after the loss of my niece
Hmm.
and my past and my history. So I was just like, this work is important. For years, so a lot of what I would do, I would say it actually started with a desire like weight loss, traditional fitness and wellness, but we know there's so much more to that.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
there's a lot going on in your life, that area is very hard to focus on. You really have to heal yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. And then once you've done that work, then it's easier at that point to
yeah.
then
It's all
focus on the
connected.
physical. Yes, it is. It's truly all connected. So really, I would say at the heart of what I do, it is integrative health, but I
Hmm.
use the tools of ancestral healing and human design to support that container. I work a lot with I like to say high achieving women, but women who are visionaries and thought leaders
Who
and
want to be high achieving women.
right, right. We should say that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Those that have a similar path and just either whether it's climbing the corporate ladder or building their businesses, because I've worked with a lot of business owners through the years too, but it's just supporting them in their full
Hmm.
mind, body, soul transformation using normal integrative health and leadership principles, but also I add in the ancestral healing and the human design components.
So great. Yeah, I love it. I love the mix of all of that. So
Mhm.
great. So, do you work with people primarily virtually, or do you see people in person?
Good question. So right now it is virtually. I have done work with folks in person in my
Hmm.
local community, but now it is virtually. And then right now, so the way I structure my work is we start with a clarity call, really
Uh-huh.
knowing and understanding what you need support with, because we all know all of our paths are so different, our needs are
Yeah.
so different. And that's one thing I feel is lacking in the online coaching world is people create these frameworks, but it becomes like a one size fits all, and it's not
Yeah.
that way, is what I found. We really truly need customized paths for our own journey and what we're on. So I like to do a start with a clarity call, really get to know who I'm
Yeah.
working with, and then from there, I do have containers that I offer. I have like a Be a
Mm.
Woman to Remember program and energy leadership program as well, but that's more so after we've had that first call to get to know each other and make
Yeah.
sure I can really help and support that individual.
Nice, nice. And you do have on your website an assessment for
Yes.
burnout. So
Yes.
when
Mhm.
somebody does that assessment on your website, is that something that do you ask somebody that contacts you, do you ask them, have you done that assessment? If that,
Yes.
yeah, just to kind of get have them be self-aware, but also, I don't know, then do you get those results or is that
I
just something for them?
That's a good question. It is for them. So it is
Hmm.
my free gift to those
Yeah.
that join my world. It is a free energy assessment, and it does come with a free Facebook community as well. I
Oh,
call it the
nice.
Help Reset Project.
Okay.
So that is a free gift for those into my world. But if they do take that next step with me and book the clarity call,
Hmm.
we will look at those results. I will ask, like, have you done
Yeah,
the assessment? Let's look at that together. And we use that to guide along with some other questionnaires that I provide as
sure.
part of the clarity call offerings.
Yeah. And do you find that people more so don't really realize that they're sort of in a burnout state or getting there, or is it sort
Mhm.
of in between?
That's a good question. I would say it is in between. They
Yeah.
clearly like, oh yeah, work is crazy, work is stressful.
We all
They
have
may
stress.
think
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that what ends up happening a lot of times we're so in what we're going through, we're not really thinking. Like sometimes this is where coaching and therapy work comes is so important
Yeah.
because you're just so in the mix of it. You just think it's the normal everyday stressors, not realizing that, there's work you've got to do because we were talking about this before I hit
Hmm.
record. It's how we all have stressors. It's just a part of
Yeah.
life. It's up and down. You're going to have grief. You're going to lose people you love things are going to happen. People are going to lose jobs. Like this stuff happens, but
Yeah.
um, it's just so I know people know they're stressed out and they're burnt out, but I don't think they realize what they can do to overcome it and be able to better manage and be more
Yeah.
resilient as they're going through those seasons. So that piece of it, I don't think they realize like, wow, there's actually work you can do to be
Yeah.
more resilient where it doesn't drag you and pull you down, and you can actually navigate through those seasons more gracefully. What I've seen is a lot of folks is not real clear that there is a path that they can take to be more resilient through those seasons. They
Yeah.
recognize the burnout, but they don't know there's that path that can
They're
get
like,
them
I just
through.
gotta suck it up or just get
Yes,
through it. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I certainly could have used that many years ago. So,
That's right.
yeah, awesome. So check out that. So where is the best place for people to reach you? Well, we just mentioned your website and we mentioned the Facebook group. So you have Instagram and you have your own podcast. So do you want to talk about the different places that people can find you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I would just say definitely start with the website.
Yeah.
I'm working on some updates right now, but I'll make
Okay.
sure all the appropriate links are there. But I'm working on building a YouTube platform.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the primary as well as the podcast. But I would say start with the website and whatever path most inspires you or you're most
Yeah.
interested in. You can find me on one of those other platforms
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share or that to make sure that people know before we end this today?
Yeah, one thing I always like to leave our audience with, I know I brought this up on another interview that I did a while back, but one of the reasons that I was inspired to do this work, or a quote that I love, and I think it's so important for all of us as women to keep this in the back of our mind. But the quote is, and I may be butchering it, but it's something along the lines of the work we do on ourselves heals the future generations as well
Oh,
as the
yeah.
past generations. And I just think as women, as the matriarchs, as the women in our society, it's so important to realize and recognize why this work is important. It's not just for us to get through our days and, like have more energy
Right.
in all our days and be able to manage our work better or whatnot, but it's also to be influential to our communities to
Yeah.
I always think I took care of my three grandparents before their passing, and I always think about the legacies they left behind. They didn't leave me
Hmm.
material things. We did not have wealth. They didn't have property, land, but what
Yeah.
they did leave me with is morals and characters. And it's a reminder why I think this work is important. It's because it does benefit and help our future and our communities.
Yeah.
So just remembering that the work you do on yourself is going to heal the future and the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Such a great message and so true. I have often said, that you cannot heal yourself without also healing the past and the future generations
Mm,
in your lineage, whether you have children or
mhm.
not, there still are future generations that have your DNA, regardless of if you have children. So, and I have talked about that with like inner child work, that the
Mm,
inner child work is not just for you and your inner child, it goes before that and it
hmm
goes ahead of you too. So, yeah, great message. Totally agree. So, thank you
hmm
for that.
Yes,
So I think that we've come to an end today. I know it goes so fast, so
it
much great
does.
information. And everybody, please check out her website. And we'll say it again. So it's willijahDawson.com, WILLIJAHDAWSON.com. So please visit. And thank you again, Willijah, for being my guest today.
Thank you so much for having me.